Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for watching another episode of Interviews with Entrepreneurs with me. I'm very excited to be speaking to Henrico Hanekom today, and he is a cryptocurrency expert. And I don't know about you guys, but I've got a lot of questions about cryptocurrency. So I'm quite excited to be speaking to him today so that he can just answer some questions in plain English, because I know we've all watched these kind of sales pitches on YouTube, and I'm sure that all of you out there have some questions. So I'm hoping that with today's interview, Henrico can answer some of them for us in plain English in a way that we can all understand. So Henrico, over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Melanie. Thank you for setting me up as the expert. I would call myself a cryptocurrency enthusiast. I've been an entrepreneur for 16 and a half years. And I think the beautiful thing about entrepreneurship is that we can create value from an idea, And about 6 years ago, I started learning about neuro coaching, and that is helping people in life and in business to overcome their own blockages and to be the best version that they can be, and understanding how the mind works. So that's a very interesting field for me, and to work with people one-to-one on that basis as well, ultimately seeing people develop. So this is what I've come to know, is if you want to change your mind, or if you want to change your life, you first have to change your mind, right? So in neuro coaching, we work with mindset, and it's difficult to see something if you don't understand it. But if we don't have any concept of what cryptocurrency is, we cannot see it. It's just that something, and we form perceptions based on what people say. So I'm very happy to answer questions. I'll do it to the best of my ability and help you. But maybe as a quick introduction, is that cryptocurrency, in my opinion, is the evolution of money. So money is evolving, and this is where the evolution process got us to, is to decentralized finance. So I'd love to hear your questions. You're welcome to hit it off and go for it.
Okay, so just to understand your business model, what is your core business then? Is it cryptocurrency mining, or is it this coaching practice that you do? Or do you combine the two in kind of a hybrid?
Well, I believe that it's very important to have multiple streams of income. Some of them may be active incomes, like where you trade time for money, and some of them may be more automated. And my personal vision is what I call financial sovereignty, is where, when a state or a country becomes sovereign, it means they're not dependent on anything external. So in terms of the financial sovereignty for myself, that means to have geolocation freedom. So where I can operate anywhere in the world, right? The other element is to leverage my time, where I don't have to sell all my hours to be able to generate the income. And the third one is, of course, income itself. And money is just a means of value. So financial sovereignty means I can do whatever I want to do, wherever I want to do it, with anyone that I want to do it. And I have the financial abundance to be able to have that divine experience. So to answer your question, what is the business model? For me, it's about helping people access those opportunities. And part and parcel of that, the focus now is cryptocurrency, not mining as such. Mining is a part of the cryptocurrency world. I'm not involved in any mining projects at the moment, but to help people understand and access the opportunity of cryptocurrency, because it is probably the biggest opportunity in our lifetimes. It's bigger than the internet itself. So, and neuro coaching helps me to help people to understand something new. So I guess it's a bit of both, but they are well aligned. And interestingly, I also get clients that just come to me for goal setting or overcoming emotional trauma. That's also part of the coaching world, but that's not our topic today. So maybe the word decentralization is very, very important. So quickly just discuss what that means. And it sounds very clever, and it pretty much is, but it's easy to understand. So if we think about the history of money, let's say the two of us were farmers, and we farmed maybe chicken and vegetables, and we traded things that were valuable to us. We traded maybe chickens for vegetables. And very soon we realized, like, okay, next month I don't want a chicken, I want something else. And this barter trading becomes impractical very quickly, right? So now we said, let's have some kind of token of exchange. Let's have a token that represents the value. So the earliest money was stones with holes in and rare shells, and then later that evolved to precious metals. And then at some stage, the government steps in and says, we're going to control these tokens. You're not allowed to make your own stones with holes in. We will make the tokens that represent value. And when you exchange them, we will take 50% of that. It's called daylight robbery. Excuse me, it's called taxation, right? I know it's a controversial topic. So we in the past, we barter traded. So money is not a thing in itself. It's just a representation of value. So we have to understand what money really is. Now, the governments control the money. We're working with state money. If you work in rands, dollars, or whatever, it's manipulated by the powers that be. It's not yours. You have the mandate. You can carry the money around, but it's not really yours. Now, if I pay you, let's say we use a bank, ABC. If I pay you, Melanie, let's say 1,000 rand, for instance, the bank is the middleman, right? And the fact that the currency is owned by the government makes them the middleman as well. So I pay you 1,000 rand. The bank keeps the journal to say, okay, Henrico has 1,000 less, and Melanie has got 1,000 more. So the ledger to keep the transaction is centralized. Centralized, right? Back to 2008, 2009, Satoshi Nakamoto has written the white paper after the big financial crash for the blockchain. He said that I would imagine the intention was maybe something like, we can no longer have banks and governments control money. Why don't we have our own money that is not state-owned money? Why don't we have private money? But what about the trust factor? How can we generate trust? Because at the moment we trust the banks, right? Banking is about trust. We just trust that they will accurately keep that ledger. But it's a centralized ledger. So the solution that Satoshi Nakamoto, which is an anonymous person or a group, we don't know who that is, came up with to say, let's create a network. We call it the blockchain. And this network is a voluntary network of computers that will confirm the transactions. And when there's consensus in the network, the transaction will happen. So let me actually draw the blockchain for you. I don't know if you can make me co-host or enable screen sharing, then I can put the whiteboard up, because this is the most important thing that we need to understand is the blockchain technology. Because now the transaction or the ledger is no longer centralized. Yes, thank you. It's now decentralized. So I'm going to try and do this really quickly. If this is a block, right? This block has got certain data. In the case of cryptocurrency, the blockchain holds financial data. So let's say, to keep it simple, there's 3 transactions. Now, this block needs to be encoded or encrypted. Cryptography, so it's an encrypted digital form of money, a token that represents value. Now, it's encrypted to a very high standard called SH-8256, which the fastest supercomputer right now will take 1,000 years to hack one of these blocks. Once the encryption work is done by the blockchain and all the voluntary computers on this network, remember, it's not about any one person, it creates a proof of work that is a hash code. So it's a long character code, and then we are ready for the next block to be created. Remember, this data is decentralized. So what happened in between is time passed, and in the next block, stay with me, you don't have to remember this, I just want you to get the concept. In the next block, we have the previous transactions and the new transactions that happened during how time passed. And of course, once again, what now needs to happen is this block needs to be encrypted. All the computers work together, they encrypt the block, and once it is now encrypted, there's a new hash code generated, the proof of work, the block is closed, and of course we have the next block, right? In the next block, we have all the previous transactions of the previous blocks, and we also have new transactions, right? This data is still decentralized. Now, if I pay you, let's say in Bitcoin, which was the first mover, there's now more than 5,000 different cryptocurrencies. If I pay you in Bitcoin, Melanie, it basically means that the ledger of this transaction, to say Henrico is paying 0.1 Bitcoin to Melanie, first lands in this block. And then it's confirmed there. There's one block confirmation. Then it's confirmed there. There's a second block confirmation. There's a third block confirmation. Different systems say the payment is done after 3 block confirmations or 6 block confirmations. And as time passes, there are just more and more and more confirmations of the same transaction, and it's decentralized. There's no middleman that holds it. So the beautiful thing here is there's no head office for blockchain, for Bitcoin. There's no single person that can own or manipulate it. It creates an environment of trust. The system is so good that you and I can pay each other directly without having to trust each other. Once the blockchain is in consensus, the Bitcoin will show up in your wallet. Okay. And it can never be reversed. It can never be reversed. So,
okay. So what I'm finding hard to understand is so in theory it's a token of value. Where does the value live? You know, can't we just create transactions online and you know, we fill blocks with stuff? Where is the value in the real world that data represents?
Okay, so we have the perception that you know, do I have money? I don't think I've got money in my pocket right now, but that for instance, let's take a $10 note or a 10 Rand note or whatever, that is value. Now, what is the value in the real world for that? What would you say? I mean, in the past, we used to think there's gold in the Reserve Bank.
Yes.
Not the case, you know, GDP.
Okay.
But
okay, I get where you're going.
There's actually no real value other than perception.
Okay.
With the money that we are using. So this is a digital format. However, what I can tell you is there is a cost to create cryptocurrency, and you, depending on your philosophy, you may make that the value. So currently it costs $16,500 US to mine 1 Bitcoin due to the computational power that is required. So there is actually a creation cost. There is a base cost to cryptocurrency. There's IT expertise, there's energy consumption, there's computer hardware that depreciates and also needs to be kept updated. You know, there's all those things that come into play. And if and the mining needs to happen so that it's difficult to create. Otherwise, it could just be for anyone. You know, there's no one person that can create a blockchain. It requires a network of computers to operate. And did you know, in the past 10 years, the Bitcoin blockchain has never been hacked. There's never been a successful hack against the blockchain network. No head office, totally decentralized, totally voluntary. because those people that volunteer their computational power, they get a small fraction of the Bitcoin, and that's their payment format.
So,
So
so what happens if the internet collapses and falls down? What happens to all that cryptocurrency?
that's a good question.
You know,
A
if
real
I buy
threat.
gold or I've got money in the bank or something like that, that theoretically will remain. But if the internet were to just crash and fall down, what happens to all that Bitcoin, that cryptocurrency?
So it will affect the ability to transact. So, but it will also affect the ability of all traditional financial systems, as you can imagine, stock markets, banks, etc. One of the real threats are something like a huge solar flare that could weaken a big portion of the internet. But at the same time, the impact will also be felt with the traditional financial systems. Now, interestingly, you can keep Bitcoin offline. You can have what we call a hard wallet, where we keep the private keys to the blockchain, and you can also have a paper wallet where your code is written down. So you can store Bitcoin offline, which is quite interesting. But if you want to transact, you will need consensus in the network. So I think worst case scenario would be if a big portion of the internet goes down, the blockchain will still be operational. We will still have enough block confirmations. And what's the benefit of the blockchain? Before I get there, I just want to speak to what you said about physical gold. I am absolutely invested in gold and in silver and in property, intangible assets as well. Okay. So it's about diversifying for me personally.
Okay, so don't put all your eggs in the crypto basket.
Well, I've got a personal strategy where whatever basket I hold, I distribute that between my local currency, rands, and then crypto dollars, Bitcoin and altcoins, and then physical precious metals. So that's how I personally diversify. There's actually, if I may mention, on my YouTube channel, Practical Abundance, there's a video how to build your financial house so that you can stay safe and wealthy for a lifetime. And those are some of the principles. I currently earn 100% in Bitcoin. That is how I earn income. And then I can decide, do I transact with that Bitcoin online? Do I bring it back into South African rands? It's literally 2 clicks and it's in my bank account. I can decide what I want to do with it and how I want to function with it in the real world, or in the offline world, so to speak, which is rarely offline, but in the physical world. Okay. So we even have companies where we can purchase precious metals, silver and gold, with Bitcoin. Okay. And that is great and they have a cryptocurrency that represents the physical metal. So they can say, here's another token of value. This token of value means one ABC coin is 1 gram of gold, or one ABC coin is 1 piece of silver, and we will vault it for you. So we have those projects that we are running that cryptocurrency has made possible for us to play into my criteria of financial sovereignty. I want to be geographically free. I'm not going to be geographically free if I have a few kilograms of gold under my mattress, right? Yes. I'm going to be fearful. I'm going to have to protect that. Geographically free, leverage my time, and have abundant income. So that's financial sovereignty. And cryptocurrency makes that possible because it's decentralized. Did you know in Switzerland you can actually pay things like tertiary education? You can pay the state in Bitcoin. You can pay the government in Bitcoin. Municipality services, they are setting up Bitcoin terminals in all the train stations. There's now 7,000 Bitcoin ATMs around the world. Banks and governments, South Africa, Germany, the French, Chinese, many governments are getting on board. We even have Malta Island calling themselves the blockchain island, where the government openly encourages blockchain developments and blockchain companies, because the benefit of the blockchain is huge. It gives us that feature of trust. It gives us a decentralized record of information as opposed to centralized, which is vulnerable. It gives us the geographical freedom. There's no forex control, unfortunately, for the
Are they not
governments or the banks.
changing that though? Because I've heard that they are trying to change that.
They are trying to impose certain regulations, but the blockchain, it won't affect the blockchain. Whether it's regulated or not regulated, you and I can still trade our chicken and vegetables because it's private money. It's not state money. Regulation is a good thing because there's been so many scams in the space. Because it's private money, some people can get away with anything, you know. And we like to teach people how to be safe about your wallets, you know. Don't keep your Bitcoin in exchanges. Use two-factor authentication. We do that training content as well.
Okay, so on that note, I met some people some time back at a braai, and they had mentioned that they had given a large chunk of their money, a large chunk of their savings, to somebody who promised to invest it in cryptocurrency for them. And the guy's bank accounts were frozen, and they were unable to get their money back out of him. Now, you know, how does that happen? And how do people protect themselves from that kind of thing?
Just from your perspective, Melanie, would you think that is a personal problem or a cryptocurrency problem?
Oh, I think they trusted the wrong people.
Yep. So the mindset of cryptocurrency is that I can now own my own money. I can be decentralized. I can be international. I don't have to ask anyone's permission to pay you, right? The whole philosophy is it's now my own money. No one can manipulate it. There's not even a head office that can manipulate it, right? So when you said someone entrusted their money to someone else that was supposed to invest it in cryptocurrency, that's where it went wrong, right?
Okay, so do you recommend we learn about it ourselves and we operate it ourselves?
Yes.
Okay.
Have your own wallets, be the custodian, make your own decisions, learn which investments could work for you in the crypto space. There are some great projects out there that we talk on our evening webinars, which we can maybe put up a link if someone wants to join a future webinar where we go into details of specific projects, you know. But at the same time, you know, we don't want anyone to take risks or lose money. Never, never. You own your own money with cryptocurrency. Now, what you're saying here is the general perception of someone has lost money. I know someone that lost money with crypto, with Bitcoin, and that's just a misinterpretation. If you understand how solid and safe the technology is, it makes sense that it is the safest money in the world. It doesn't discriminate between race. It doesn't discriminate between countries and physical borders. It doesn't discriminate age. My son, my kids, they own cryptocurrency. You know, it's a beautiful thing. It's a thing of unity. You know, there's no middleman because the blockchain replaces the middleman and makes it safe. So what we're seeing here on the screen is pretty interesting. We can see the current Bitcoin price in US dollar is people are voting with their money that one Bitcoin is worth $9,400. Now, if you want to be buying Bitcoin, remember it's got 8 decimals. So you've got 0. Then there's 8 decimals. And if you put the 1 there, it's 1 Satoshi. It's a Bitcoin cent. It's called a Satoshi. Based on the guy that invented it, Satoshi Nakamoto, or girl, we don't know, or group. Now, so you can buy 1 Satoshi if you want to, you know, and they are thinking that Bitcoin may become so valuable that we will have to work in such small decimals. Well, we already do And what we're seeing here is how countries around the world is buying Bitcoin. You can see there's a lot of US dollar going to Bitcoin. You can see, what was the other one here? KRW, I can't remember what that is. Is that a Korean currency, if I'm correct? This is the blockchain being visually read. What's interesting is the blockchain is 100% transparent and auditable, yet it is anonymous. And I can show you the transactions in the blockchain. This is just a nice visual representation. Now, can you see this gray bar coming along the screen? It's a transaction happening right now for 33.5 Bitcoin. Now, there's another one, 109.17 Bitcoin. So let's actually calculate that. If we say 107 Bitcoin in South African rands, that is 16.9 million rand being transacted in front of our eyes. There's no middleman, there's no border, there's no age. It is the safest transaction. The fees are less than 1% than what the bank would charge. That transaction has no limits. It cannot be reversed. If someone has set up their wallets correctly, it is the safest transaction ever. There are now developments where they want to do property transactions. So why do you need an attorney when you buy a property? If I buy a property from you, what does the attorney do? They say, okay, we have a bank guarantee, Henrico's got the money, and Melania's got the property. We have the title deed. They are creating trust, and they are helping for the transaction to change, or for the assets to change hand, the representation of value and the property. The blockchain is so trustworthy that we don't need the attorney anymore. We can create a contract in the blockchain that says once the money reflects, the cryptocurrency reflects, the title deed is transferred. So amazing developments even in the field of, like organic food, traceability, in the medical world, with banks and everything. So everything is going onto decentralization now. There's been a lot of censorship on YouTube, where people have valuable content and it's just been removed. Now there's a platform, like call it a blockchain YouTube, where people can have the information in the blockchain. No one can control it, right? Okay. Can never be removed. It will be there forever. So very interesting applications around the blockchain.
So the other thing that I have to ask is, because this looks like it becomes a full-time job. If you're playing around with Bitcoin all day and you want to make money off it, then you're going to have to put in a day's work to make it pay. And maybe somebody doesn't like doing that kind of work all day.
That's a very good question. And if I have to work all day, which I don't mind doing if it's something that I'm passionate about, however, I have only so much time. We all have time is a very special and very limited resource. So the kind of income streams that we like creating is what I mentioned, is automated income. Passive income is something that doesn't exist. You can do nothing and have something. It's a fantasy. It's a myth. However, automated income means I can work with the system. I can understand the technology. I can put in some work, some custodianship, make some decisions based on the right mindset. And then I can step back and the system can work for me. So that's not a passive income because I've done something, but it is an automated income. So that's what we focus on, is how can we generate automated streams of income. Typically, when you think sometimes Bitcoin and Ethereum and these kind of things, you think traders. They sit and watch the graphs and they do trading. That is a job. I honestly don't want another job, So that is a very important element to understand, and how you approach things, Now, interestingly, I just want to close this. Let's leave that. If you look at the blockchain, I'm now looking at the Ethereum blockchain. That's one of the other cryptocurrencies that's been created, the altcoin. this is a blockchain reader, etherscan.io. Anyone can read the blockchain and can even go and audit transactions. And here we can see the transaction as, I don't know whose transaction this is, it's just anonymous, but I can see that this transaction is already at 10 block confirmations. I can see the wallet from where it came, and I can see the wallet where it went to. So this is, we are actually looking at the blockchain, and this was 0. How much was this? You see it. This is 0.07 Ethereum or Ether. At the current exchange rate, that's about a $17 value. Now, interesting, what did we say happens between blocks? Time passes, right? Mm-hmm. So when I refresh my screen, we said it was now, when we started looking at this, it was in 10 block confirmations. When I refresh my screen, 13 block confirmations. Mm. The longer this transaction exists, the more block confirmations it will have. That's why it's the safest money out there.
Okay. You've given us a lot to think about, Henrico. Thank you so much. And I notice we are about to run out of time. So where can we find you on the social networks if anybody wants to learn more about this kind of thing from you, or if they want coaching from you?
Okay. So in terms of content, money mindset, wealth mindset, understanding cryptocurrency, go into YouTube, look for practical abundance. I'm saying that we have the ability to experience abundance, but let's make that practical. How do we do that? There's quite a few cool videos there. In terms of coaching, you're welcome to go to my website, henricohanekom.com, and look around there and make contact there. I want to leave you with one last thought before we finish up. What are the governments doing? They are printing money like toilet paper, right? Without creating the value behind it. And that is a dead economy that we are living in. So as the money becomes more is printed, the value of the money, the buying power in my pocket becomes less. That's what the governments call inflation. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin has just halved. Every 4 years, there's a thing built into the algorithm that makes for the amount of Bitcoin available to halve. So it becomes scarcer and scarcer and scarcer. So what do you think will happen when this stuff becomes more common, the printed money, and cryptocurrency becomes scarcer and scarcer? That value will increase. And that's where we are now in the world. And it seems like we have the perfect storm to fast track this evolution of money right now.
Okay. It's very interesting, and a lot of it has gone through my center parting, as I imagine it will for a lot of people watching. I'm definitely going to have to do more research to really wrap my mind around this. So thank you so much for this insight. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you for your openness to listen, Melanie. I really appreciate that. And let's see if we can maybe post a link as well. I made a video, Bitcoin for Skeptics, that goes into detail.
Okay, awesome. If you'll send me that link, I will definitely post it when I post this video.
100%.
Have a beautiful day.